Amen. Well, let's open up to our hymn of the month, hymn number 349, Complete in Thee. We'll sing the first and the third as the last.
Lord. Well, I'd like to introduce our speaker tonight, Brother Bobby Toler. If you were not in the service this morning, you missed a good blessing. Of course, you may be able to get online and listen to it. So we're privileged to have him and his wife with us. Brother Toler is a graduate of Hiles-Anderson College, and he pastored in Grass Lake, Michigan, the Harvest Baptist Church for 23 years. Now is retired from the pastorate, still serving the Lord, still preaching. Obviously, he's here. Pastor Rogers, of course, wanted me to personally thank him for filling in while he's gone on the mission trip to Belize. So get your Bibles ready, and let's welcome our guest speaker, Brother Bobby Toler.
Okay, it's good to be back tonight. Let me thank you. Everybody has been extremely kind to Miss Karen and I. I really appreciate you allowing me to come and do what I love doing more than anything else in the world, is preaching the gospel and the Word of God. And let me introduce Karen again. For those of you who are not here this morning, this is my wife, Karen. She was married to Dr. Doug Calab. Dr. Doug Calab was the leader of the missions team out of First Baptist Church in Hammond. She served as a missionary in China and in Africa and in various other ministries. If you talk to her for a little while, you realize right away that I married way over my head. And I thought I knew that when we were dating, that I was marrying over my head, but I thought I can out-talk her. No, can't do that either. But she is a tremendous encouragement to me, a blessing, and we joke a lot, we laugh a lot. Every couple ought to laugh a lot together. And so I've been sitting over here rehearsing my stories. Because I got in the middle of one this morning and realized I left off the whole first half of it. Nothing was going to work out, so I had to start over. I was thinking about couples and how they get along together. A fellow was sitting at the breakfast table one morning drinking his coffee and reading the paper, and his wife came in to the room. She picked up a frying pan, hit him in the head with it, and almost knocked him out, you know. And he said, "What in the world was wrong with you? Why'd you do that?" She said, "I found this piece of paper in your pants pocket. It says Mary Lou on it." He said, "Wow, that's silly." He said, "I place a bet every now and then at the track." He said, "Mary Lou's a horse. I've been betting on a horse." I was wrong. And well, that satisfied her. About 2 weeks went by, and she come back in the kitchen, got a bigger pan this time, hit him hard and knocked him out on the floor. He raised up off the floor trying to get his senses back again. He said, "Why did you do that?" She said, "Your horse just called you this morning." So couples argue, they don't get along. A couple driving across Michigan, coming up 94, across on 94, and they came to Kalamazoo. And they got to arguing. They were from another place, and they got to arguing about what this town, how you pronounce the name of this town. And the argument got heated. I mean, you know, she was upset, and he got upset. He said, "Look, listen, when we get up here to this town, the name of this town, I'm going to pull into the first fast food restaurant, and we're going to ask them to help us solve this problem." Pulled into the restaurant, got out, walked in, walked up to the counter and said to the little girl, he said, "I want you to pronounce for me and my wife, we're arguing about the name of this place, I want you to pronounce for me the name of this place." And she said, "Burger King." That'll solve the problems for you if you can learn to laugh at each other. Have you ever got kind of fallen out with your wife and you're both giving each other the silent treatment? Come on, you've done that before. You don't talk, you walk around the house, you see her coming, you walk the other way, you don't want to talk. So this couple have been about 2 days now, they've been arguing with each other, and then they quit and hadn't said a word to each other in 2 days. Well, he realized he has to get up early the next morning and catch a flight to go out on a business trip. And so he didn't want to be the one to break the silence. He wrote her a little note and said, I have to catch a flight early in the morning. Wake me up at 5 a.m. Put that on the nightstand. Next morning he woke up, the sun was shining through the windows, and he grabbed the clock, looked at it, it was 8 o'clock. He'd already missed his flight. He was really angry, upset. He got up, he was ready to give her a piece of his mind. And he saw a note on the nightstand. He picked it up and he said, it's 5 a.m., wake up. You can't beat him, fellas. You can't win, all right? I want to talk to you something. Let me read some verses to you from Scriptures. Psalms chapter 142. I'm going to read all 7 verses of that chapter. He said, I cried unto the Lord with my voice. With my voice unto the Lord did I make my supplication. I poured out my complaint before him. I shewed before him my trouble. When my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then thou knewest my path. In the way wherein I walk have they privily laid a snare for me. I looked on my right hand and beheld, but there was no man that would know me. Refuge failed me. No man cared for my soul. I cried unto thee, O Lord, I said, thou art my refuge and my portion in the land of the living. Attend unto my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are stronger than I. Bring my soul out of prison, that I may praise thy name. The righteous shall compass me about, for thou wilt deal bountifully with me. Here's a man that is writing about his brokenness. He's hurt. He's wounded. He's offended. And he knows that God is the only one that can help him.
And we are bad sometimes in that, as bad in the church sometimes as anywhere, to hurt each other because we're close. You have a Christian school. Sometimes if you have a Christian school, you see each other. Some of you see each other every single day of the week. And you have to interact day after day after day. And sooner or later you say something to hurt one another. And so I guess the problem is how we react to that. An old preacher was sitting on the front porch one day, and he saw a bulldog coming down the street, down the sidewalk, just lumbering along. And as it got closer to him, his neighbor's little Chihuahua dog came running out and barking at this big bulldog. He'd run around in front of him and bark, and run around the side and bark, and he'd get behind him and follow him and nipping at his legs and barking at him. That bulldog never looked around, never looked up, just kept walking along, paying no attention to him. And the preacher watched him go out of sight down that little Chihuahua, chasing him, harassing that big bulldog. He bowed his head and he said, Dear God, would you please give me what that bulldog has? Now, if you understand that, you're going to always have little Chihuahuas nipping at your heels. If you serve God, they're going to be around you, nipping at you, barking at you, irritating you. And if you're not careful, you're going to get hurt. If you've done any soul winning, if you've knocked on doors, all of you have heard this. They'll say something like this, Preacher, I used to go to church, but I got hurt and I quit. I used to sing in the choir, and by the way, I was pretty good too, if you ask me. But the choir leader, he hurt me, and I quit. I used to go to church, preacher. I used to be a Sunday school teacher, but the preacher said something in one of his sermons, and it hurt me, it wounded me, and I quit. I used to be a deacon, preacher. I served as a deacon in the church for years, but the pastor hurt me, and I quit. I used to be a pastor. I used to pastor a church, preacher, but the deacons turned on me and they hurt me, and I quit. There's no way that you can live in this life without being hurt. It's just not possible. Some people deal with it better than others, but there's no way to live without being hurt. Friends will hurt you. Co-workers will hurt you. People in the church, folks that sit across the aisle from you, sometimes will hurt you. Sometimes I've hurt people before and did not have a clue that I had done it, did not intend to do it. I remember many years ago, a deacon's wife came up to me and she said, Pastor, I want you to forgive me. And I don't think she really did. She just wanted to tell me what was going on, you know. And because next thing I said, why would I need to forgive you? She said, I've been angry at you for 3 months. I've been avoiding you. I won't shake your hand. I don't want to talk to you for 3 months. I didn't have a clue she was even offended or up. I said, what did I do? She said, you came up to me and we were talking, and you came up and spoke to us. You shook her hand, and then you walked off, and you didn't shake my hand when you left. And I've been avoiding you for 3 months now. And I thought, my soul, I didn't mean to hurt her. I didn't mean to offend her. I wouldn't have done that for anything in the world. But for 3 months she's hurt and let the devil use it to interfere with her serving God. Being hurt is not our problem. Our friends will hurt us. Family will hurt you. Your enemies, certainly, your co-workers sometime will hurt you, and the staff members will hurt you. Your children will hurt you. I've raised 6 children. And my youngest one is about 30 years old. My oldest one is around 50, 51 years old now. And there have been times that they have crushed me and wounded me to the bone. Now, I dearly love and deeply love them, but I'm telling you, the people you love the most and care the most about will hurt you sometimes. That's the reason that churches need to guard themselves against this and be careful what we say. Because we are so close and we love so deeply that it wounds us deeply when those around us hurt us. Being hurt is then not the problem then, because you can't avoid it. You're going to get hurt. But your problem is how you react to it. We can fight back. We can get bitter. We can get even. We can hurt them. The deacon's wife that I mentioned has spent 3 months trying to hurt me, trying to get even, and I didn't even notice. You see, it's silly for us to behave that way. We can fight back, get bitter, get angry, get wounded, quit, drop out, stop, don't go any further, give up the fight, get out of the battle, go home and watch Joel Osteen on television. Well, a lot of Baptists doing that, folks. Your problem is not being hurt. Your problem is how you react to being hurt, how you respond to it. I want to look at several things here that maybe can help you. First of all, I want to talk to you about the purpose of hurt. What is the purpose of you being hurt? You see, hurt comes to hurt. Now, pay close attention to me. Hurt didn't come to hurt you. Hurt didn't come to make you feel hurt and wounded. We're insignificant in all of this. What hurt did, hurt came to hurt your work. Hurt came to hurt your Sunday school class. Hurt came to hurt the choir you're part of. Hurt came to hurt your marriage. Your husband says something and you get hurt. And in that hurt, you decide to go home to mama for a couple of days. And you hurt your family. And it's how we respond to it. The devil wants to hurt your ministry. The devil wants to hurt your family. The devil wants to hurt your friends. The devil wants to hurt your work. I know some of you right now, you're sitting there and you know you're hurt. You're crushed to the bone. Something has wounded you. But that hurt didn't come to disable you. That hurt came to hurt the thing that you love, and hurt the family you love, and hurt the church you love, and hurt the ministry you love, and hurt the Sunday school class that you love. Satan has a bigger goal, a more lofty goal, and just wounding you. The devil wants to hurt your ministry. The devil hurt you so you would quit doing what you was doing and would be doing if you weren't hurt. We quit doing the things of God because we're hurt. Number 2, when you quit because of hurt, you join hurt in its gold and in its work. The pastor gets hurt and quits the church, gives up the church and resigns. Sunday school teacher gets hurt and resigns from her Sunday school class and hurts little boys and girls and hurts the young couples or hurts the teenagers that God gave them and put under their care. You're now working with the devil to hurt all of the people you could have helped had you not responded incorrectly to being hurt. What is the cause of hurt? I'm gonna give you the number one reason, I think, not the only reason, but I think the biggest reason for most of the problems in our New Testament churches. We hurt people when we get out of our area and start making decisions. What I mean by that, the Sunday school teacher teaching the little 6- and 7-year-olds across the hall. Here's something across the hall in the other classroom that bothers her. And she takes it upon herself to go over and tell that teacher the mistakes that she's making in teaching her class. And you get out of your area and try to fix a problem that's none of your business, and that's not your area. And the next thing you know, the preacher's got you in his office trying to solve the problem because somebody got hurt and came up to the preacher and said, by the way, I quit. I'm not going to do this anymore. Why are you quitting? Well, Mrs. Smith hurt me. She came over. And I'm saying, if we stay in our area, if we stay where God put us and take care of the business that God gave us and quit getting out of our area. What do you mean? I mean a deacon gets out of his area and thinks he can back the preacher up in a corner and tell him how to preach and what to preach and how long to preach. And it doesn't work. Never has worked. It never will work. When you quit because of your hurt, you join hurt in its work. And what causes most of the hurt is we get out of our area and start making decisions that are not ours to make. We get out of our area and hurt someone, and then the one hurt then quits the ministry they're in, and they hurt the people that they were taking care of because we just simply should have stayed in our area. If it's so bad you think it has to be dealt with, go to your preacher and let your preacher, if he thinks it's serious, let him deal with it. And don't get out of your area. You're going to hurt people when you do it, and when you hurt them, they quit. Or they tell you to mind your own business and you get hurt then. Come on, shake your head. It won't fall off. Come on. When we quit because of hurt, we join hurt in its work. Jesus said, if you go to the altar and remember that your brother have aught against you, leave your gift at the altar and go be reconciled with your brother. That is strange instructions there if you think about it. You got two people, and one of them is offended at the other. One of them is at the altar. He's not the one that's offended. He's at the altar. He's there serving God. He's right with God. But God doesn't go to the one that's hurt over here and offended. He goes to the fellow that hurt him and said, you need to go fix this. You need to make it right. Go to thy brother and be reconciled, and then come back and offer your gift at the altar. He didn't say take the gift with you. He said leave it at the altar. Go fix this and then come back and offer your gift. Go to the one that's hurt and reach out. If you know you've hurt somebody, it's easy to fix most of the time. You can even fix it and when you're not as sincere as you ought to be. All right, suppose I know I've hurt Karen, my wife, and I can go but way down deep inside, I know I'm right. I'm right. But I got to fix this. Why? Because I got to eat. There's a whole lot of things that I've got to have that my wife supplies, and if I don't get this fixed, I'm going to be the one losing out. And I can go to my wife and I can say, sweetheart, honey, I am so sorry. I didn't handle any of this right. I handled it all wrong. I have never had anyone reject that. I did not tell her I was wrong. I did not for a minute admit that I was the one that made the mistake. But I did say I didn't handle this right, and 99.9% of the time, you are telling the truth when you tell someone, I didn't handle this very well. I didn't handle it correctly. And so you reach out to someone, you reach out to the one that's hurt and try to fix it. Don't let it just go on and people keep getting wounded and more people are getting hurt and ministries are getting hurt. The choir gets hurt. Sunday school class gets hurt. The bus route gets hurt because somebody wounded somebody that was in charge and they quit. Now, Dad sure don't want Karen to quit. And you shouldn't want your wife. You go to your wife and you fix it. You go to your husband and you fix it. I'll tell you who goes to the spouse and fixes it. I'm going to tell you the one in the family that does it. You listening? The best Christian. The one that is the blessed Christian will go and try to fix this. I hate it. I've hated it with my first wife. I hate it with my second wife. If we're not getting along and there's tension between us and we're walking around the house with this tension, I hate that. And I want to fix it. And I wait and I wait and I wait and she never comes. I have to go to her and fix it every time. No, I'm just trying to be funny now. Number 3, you can't stop the hurt, but you can stop the hurt of the hurt. Never despair. But if you do despair, work on in despair. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't let hurt make you bitter. You know why it's wrong? It's terribly wrong to let hurt make you bitter, because bitter people hurt people. You find someone that's full of bitterness and they're constantly hurting the folks that are around them. So don't let your hurt make you bitter. Don't let it. Don't quit pastor. Don't quit choir member. Don't quit choir leader. Don't quit Sunday school teacher. Don't quit soul winner. Bitterness hurts other people, and those hurt quit and hurt the work and the ministry and the work that God's given to do. When you stop the hurt from hurting, hurt becomes a help to you then. When you stop your hurt in its tracks and don't allow it to go on and hurt other people, it becomes a help and makes you stronger for the next time that you're going to be hurt. And you will be hurt again. Stand up to your hurt. I mean, look your hurt in the eye and say, you're my problem, I'm going to deal with you. Hurt is like the guy was drinking. He got a pad and a piece of paper, and he went around to his friends and fellows in the room, and he said, what's your name? He said, my name's Bill, and he wrote down Bill. He went over, he said, buddy, what's your name? He said, my name's Jack, and he wrote Jack down. He went over to another guy and said, what's your name? He said, my name's John, and he wrote down John. And then John said, why are you writing my name down? He said, I'm writing down the name of all the men I can whip. He reached and grabbed him by the nape of the neck and said, why, you little wimp, you can't whip me. He said, well, okay, take your name off then. That's the way hurt is. What do you mean? I mean, you tell hurt to take your name off the list. You're not going to hurt somebody else because you're hurt. You're not going to wound your friends. You're not going to wound another choir member or a co-worker because you've been hurt in some way. Two frogs fell into a deep cream bowl. One was an optimistic soul. The other took the gloomy view and said, we shall drown. He cried without more ado. So with a last despairing cry, he flung up his legs and said goodbye. Quoth the other frog with a merry grin, I can't get out, but I won't give in. I'll just swim round till my strength is spent. Then will I die the more content. Bravely he swam till it would seem his struggles began to turn to cream. On top of the butter at last he stopped, and out of the bowl he gaily hopped. What's the moral of the story? 'Tis easily found. If you can't hop out, keep swimming around. You're going to be hurt. You're going to have struggles in your life. And when those struggles come, if you're not careful, it'll cause you to hurt your marriage. It'll cause you to hurt your ministry. It'll cause you to hurt the work you're doing. I heard about a preacher. Things hadn't been going well for him. He'd been aggravated with the ministry for a while, had a good work, good pastoring, good people. But he come out one Sunday morning, and his pianist didn't show up. And he was so upset, got so upset because his pianist didn't show up for church. He went ahead and preached his sermon. At the end of the sermon, he said, "Oh, by the way, I resign." He got hurt. He let people, the unfaithfulness of some people hurt him, and he hurt his work. And by the way, I don't know who it was. I just know that it happened. He never had another work as good as the one that he resigned from. And sometimes we walk out on marriages, we walk out on ministries, we walk out on churches, we walk out on people that we dearly love and we need in our life because we got hurt and wounded. If you let hurt, it will be harder to stop the hurt the next time. There are people who can never stay with the work. There are people who will never reach their potential because they can't stop themselves from quitting every time they get hurt or wounded. They can't stop themselves from fighting back and getting bitter or wanting to get even with someone who hurt them. This will make you work and more unpreparable for the next hurt. You won't be ready the next time you hurt, and you will be hurt again. How do we get hurt? Prodigal son went to his father and said, "Father, I want the goods that come to me." And he said, "I want them now." It wasn't time for him to get them, but he said, "I want them now." And the father called his sons together and divided his living with them. And the younger son, not many days later, he took his journey into a far country, and there he wasted his substance on riotous living. He spent all that he had, and a famine came, and he joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him out into the fields to feed the swine in the fields. And he came to himself. It's almost like he's been under some kind of spell, a demonic spell of some kind. And he came to himself and he said, I know what I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to go home and say, "Father, I've sinned against you and against heaven. I'm no more worthy to be called thy son." He said, "There are servants in my father's house that have bread enough to spare, and I perish with hunger." And he went home. Boy, that's wonderful news. The father saw him coming down the road and ran out to meet him and hugged him and kissed him and put a ring on his finger and shoes on his feet and a robe on his back. The brother came in from the field. He heard a party and all the music and the gaiety that was going on, and he said, "What's happening?" And the servant said, "Haven't you heard? Your brother's home. Your brother's home, and Dad killed the fatted calf and has welcomed him back home and put a ring on his finger and put shoes on his feet." And the older son was hurt. He was hurt. And I understand it. He said, I don't understand, Dad. I've been here all of these years, and I've been faithful, and I've obeyed you. And I've got up and went to work every morning, and I went out and took care of the fields, and I took care of the cattle. I've looked after our farm. I took care of the wealth that you've been accumulated. And this brother of mine, this no good brother, took it and wasted everything, and he comes home, and you kill for him a fatted calf. You never kill me a fatted calf. He said, "Son, all that I have is yours. Everything I have is yours." He's not going to give his brother what belongs to him. He said, "It's all yours. You could have had a fatted calf every week if you'd wanted one." But when we get hurt, we don't see things sometimes the way we need to. I don't know what your hurt is. I don't know who hurt you, but don't let your hurt your work. Don't let your hurt the Sunday school class you're teaching. Don't let the hurt the choir that God put you in. Don't let the hurt your soul winning. Don't let the hurt that you're suffering hurt your family and your marriage. Don't let hurt have its way in your life. Don't let it hurt your children. Don't let your hurt your church. Don't let your hurt your dreams and your future. A fellow wrote, I've dreamed many dreams that never came true. I've seen them vanish at dawn, but I've realized enough of my dreams, thank God, to make me want to dream on. I prayed many prayers when no answer came. I've waited patient and long, but answers have come to enough of my prayers to make me keep praying on. I've trusted many a friend who failed and left me to weep alone, but I've found enough of my friends true blue to make me keep trusting on. I've sown many seeds that fell by the way for birds to feed upon, but I've held enough golden sheaves in my hand to make me keep sowing on. I've drained the cup of disappointment and pain. I've gone many days without song, but I've sipped enough nectar from the rose of life to make me want to live on. I don't know what you're suffering. I don't know the hurt and the pain that you're going through. But be careful that you don't let your hurt. Don't let your hurt your family. Don't let your hurt your ministry. Don't let your hurt your work. We are prone to quit and give up when we're hurt and we're wounded. Would you bow your head with me a moment, please? I'd like for the pianist to come. How many of you could say, with your head bowed and your eye closed, how many of you could say, Preacher, God spoke to my heart tonight? Slip your hand up quietly for me. No one looking around for a moment. God bless you. God bless you. The pianist is going to start playing in just a moment. And on the first note of music, if God spoke to your heart tonight, I want you to stand to your feet, step to the nearest aisle, and I want you to come forward and kneel here at the altar and let God deal in your heart. Come on, everyone standing, please. Yes, hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Come on. Don't hesitate. If God's speaking to your heart, you come tonight. If there's something bothering you, something in your heart, maybe you've been wounded, why don't you come tonight and just lay it at the feet of Jesus Christ? Come on.